Hello, today I'm playing an indie horror game called Astray. This is not a blind run, I actually completed it last night, but due to recording issues it means I have to go through it all over again. The storyline is your uncle is a museum curator, almost like a manager. He has gone missing shortly before the museum is meant to open. It is up to his nephew, the hero of this story, to venture on into the museum and find out where his uncle is. This introduction is incredibly strange. You can hear this haunting soundtrack in the background, like a horror music that's playing, and the fact that your character's breathing heavily, he's running, and when he sees this cliff he immediately decides to jump down, even though it's got to be like 40 feet, well enough to kill you. It implies that you're getting chased and that there's a massive sense of urgency for what you're doing, but there's not. Nothing's chasing you at all. There was no need for him to risk his life jumping down that cliff with his major parkour skills. In fact, the game even says that the uncle hasn't been seen for several weeks. What's the mass panic for getting here so fast? The floor's electrified, so we need to turn off the power. Damn it. The checkpoint system is very frequent, and it's one of the good things about it. Every time you get killed, you're essentially brought back about 10 seconds before you died. I don't know much about who we're playing as. One thing I do know is that he's the world's strongest man. Look at this. You can lift up boxes no problem. Super powerful man. I say he's super powerful, but when you eventually meet the one single monster in this game that's copy and pasted about 9 times, you don't actually have any way to fight it, so you've just got to run and hide. We need to get into the museum, so we've got these bolt cutters. This outside environment, while I like the use of the flowers and that you can see the museum from outside, it's one of the duller moments in terms of its environment. Some of the levels you explore in Astray are simply beautiful. The museum is divided into various sections. You've got the basement level, the strange Lovecraftian style of caves, a planetarium, the city of Atlantis, and Egypt. Some of those areas are great to look at, it's a lot of fun there. Sadly though, the game does have far too many problems to make me want to recommend this. Various jarring issues and design choices. Probably the most blatant is the use of the flashlight.
Welcome to the Walker's Museum of the Supernatural. You are now entering code.
If you couldn't hear what that was saying, it was the recorded intercom welcoming you to the museum before it cut off. My flashlight is already a quarter of capacity. When you turn the flashlight off, it does recharge itself. Always hate that in games, the orchestral shriek that you hear whenever a jump scare happens. It doesn't make you scared of what you're seeing in the world. It makes you jump because there is a loud noise, part of the game's soundtrack. You're only jumping due to music. There isn't really a guy with a violin hiding behind you. That means there's quite a disjoint between player and character. Your character can't hear that violin orchestral shriek. It makes no sense for your character to react in the same way that you would. And it's incredibly lazy. It's the equivalent of someone going behind you and going boo. It doesn't add to the game's world, it doesn't make you scared, it's just a jump, and it's the cheapest form of horror. In this puzzle we need to find out the name of the pharaoh, who is in one of the next rooms. It's Teos, so T-E-O-S. Half circle, toothbrush, prongs, and silly straw. I'm crouching here, I can't actually fit through, but if you walk up to it, your character like bashes his head on the top. Crouching is one of the weird parts about this. This is me crouching. You do it instantly. You can't even look up and down, right? This is me looking down. I'm spazzing out quite a bit. And that's just looking up. You can tell this is as indie as games go, really. In terms of things like that, how you can't even look up right. There's a lot of problems with the AI of the monster that chases you. It's only one monster. You see him about 8 times. And when we get to him, I'll be able to tell you a lot more about what he's up to. I think the monster's presence hurts the story quite a lot. At no point does your character ever react to what he's seeing. He doesn't care. At no point in the game are you blocked from leaving the museum, from escaping, but you make no attempt to do so. If you really did see a monster in this museum, which looks like a naked, bloodied man, you would haul ass out of there. You would absolutely leg it and maybe call the police. But no, your character's got a death wish, as evidenced by when he jumped off the cliff, hoping to shatter all his legs on the way down. Dude is an absolute nutter. The loading screens are another weird part about this. The last room I entered, I didn't press anything at all and the game opened the environment for me. Other times appears that it's frozen and it refuses to move unless you press a button. So it makes it seem like the game has crashed or it's infinitely reloading when in fact it's just because you haven't pressed a button, which takes the loading screen away and puts you into the next room. Oh, I seem to be trapped on the side. It must have been super expensive to build this underwater city. This section of the museum is a great environment. Probably my favourite room in the entire game. I adore this huge sphere just dominating the centre of this place. It's a very HP Lovecraft. Almost like the Mountains of Madness or Call of Cthulhu with the underwater city of Relay. I'm guessing that's the major inspiration, the works of Lovecraft. There are a lot of descriptions of things which are unimaginable and unspeakable. And that's something that falls flat in a lot of computer games. I know, for example, Wrath of the Lich King in World of Warcraft. The trailer for Icecrown Citadel. King Tyrannus goes on about unspeakable horrors infesting it. But it's not unspeakable. We speak about them all the time. People are making raid groups speaking about it. Nonsense. So it's not unspeakable. And when the games talk about unimaginable events and horrors, if it was truly unimaginable, devs wouldn't be able to imagine it to begin with to put it into the game. Anyway, concerning this puzzle, just link up the pipes, red light to other red light. There's nothing connecting these pipes at all to the wall, so they are just levitating in midair. And there we go, we're doing that because we want to cause a flood. See how my battery power has already run out very fast. It's the part of the game I despise, because there's no need for it. Why not just give us infinite battery life? If you recall near the start, I did pick up a battery early on. We will not see any more batteries for the next half hour, and then they will appear again. Suddenly they will disappear once more. When the battery runs out to 0, there's no point playing the game at all. Someone just might as well just take the controller away from you. You're not going to advance forward, as you may think that there's a monster that's going to come and attack you. So of course you're going to stay where you are. We need the code to activate the boat. I'm not sure why there's a map of Earth here. As far as I can tell, I can't actually see like a little dot telling me where Atlantis is supposed to be. Your battery does recharge itself over time. It does mean that if you're walking around, oh no, the battery's run out, better just hide here in the corner for a full minute. It does take the absolute piss in order for the battery to recharge all the way by itself. Someone just may as well tell you to not play the game. Oh god. Once again, the scary thing isn't those banging noises. It's the orchestral shriek. There's no point going into these waters at all. And it's very unusual why the devs decided to make a room this big. See, this room's absolutely massive. The entire point of this room, there's letters 03N. And it's the same in the next room. I've noticed this throughout the entirety of Astray. 03N and then 18W. There's a lot of rooms which are quite big and they're pointless. They don't contribute to the story or the setting really. It would be nice if there was a little something to do, maybe like a little scare scene. Although considering the overusage of that exact same jump scare, probably for the best if it wasn't. There we go. Now we can go on the boat at last. When you're on this boat, you can't move at all. You can jump and you can crouch, but you can't actually move anywhere. I think this looks really nice, how you're going through all these weird pillars. And when you're looking down, you can see the entire hallway. The game's environment are truly the best part about this. Some of the levels look wonderful. This one, for example, is my favourite. And the planetarium is also great. We'll be going there after we've explored the three main areas, that being Demonology, Atlantis and Egypt. This puzzle, I just brute force it. You need to get all these numbers to 40. When I was speaking about the whole unspeakable, unimaginable horrors, I mentioned it because throughout the level you see notes and various documents saying that there are literally unspeakable horrors, it says. But the note speaks about it anyway, so it's not really unspeakable. I always hated that. It's just a lazy way of describing something, saying it's unimaginable. You designed it to begin with. That's what's in the fucking game. So of course it's something you can imagine. In the works of H.P. Lovecraft, the author deliberately doesn't describe a lot of horrors for that reason. That's a good and a bad thing, as the reader can make their own interpretation as to what they're seeing. Sometimes they don't want to. They want to know exactly what they're looking at to find out what it was that made this person go insane. Well, of course we can't truly know, otherwise we'd go insane ourselves. This skull motif you'll see about 100 times. I can, to an extent, understand it. The fact that this is a museum, so they probably just built this to a single standard. You do see this model in the underground, non-Euclidean environments where the supposed aliens of the game live. It doesn't really make sense for that to be there. Ah, there's some batteries. Swish. Here's a little clue. And now it's time to meet the first monster of the game. It's absolute cack. I don't like how every time you read these notes, the soundtrack completely goes. It really does take you out of the game. Soundtrack's a mega important part of building a game's world and its environment. It really sucks you in to what you're seeing. This monster moves slower than you. He isn't that much of a threat really. And the fact that you have such frequent checkpoint systems does negate it a bit. Now, I want to show you something. This is me leaning right and leaning left. It doesn't actually show you anything new. I can't see any more through that door at all, which makes the leaning entirely pointless. In Amnesia, you want to look through this hallway, thinking, oh, there may be a monster, but I don't want to expose myself. So you lean, and you don't see anything new at all. It's completely stupid why there's leaning in the game to begin with. This labyrinth's pretty freaky because the hallways are so narrow and we've already been told that there's a monster here. For fuck's sake. Oh, god damn it. Oh, he's given up on me. The monster does give up its chase of you very fast. He's actually attracted to the flashlight more than you yourself. If you shine the light on him, he will bolt it towards you. Oh, for fuck's sake. But if you don't have the light on him, he's practically blind. Soundtrack tells you when he's not chasing you, so that's when you know if you're completely safe or not. Provided you don't have the light on at all, otherwise you can be a bit spasmodic as to whether he wants to chase you. Now, there's a problem. I have 0 flashlight battery, and that labyrinth is almost entirely black. Of course, I am not going to explore any further through the game. I'm going to wait for my flashlight to reach maximum. Now, I'm just standing here, waiting for my flashlight to completely recover, and it's going to take me about a full minute. And it's boring. You don't play computer games to wait for a little bar in a corner to fill up before you can continue. You just want to move on, but you can't because it's too dark, and so you can't see anything. So now we're just stuck here in purgatory waiting for this light to recharge. Definitely the part I complain about the most, for the simple reason that it makes you stop playing. You're not going to explore because you can't see. Of course you're going to wait. The museum environment, not something you really see a lot. One game that really springs to mind to me is Condemned 2 Bloodshot. You do enter a museum, although it gets a bit silly during the museum level because you're fighting dudes that have stolen like medieval armour and equipment and what have you. Yes, it does make sense that they would use the gear that they've found. At the same time, it makes this serious horror game seem a bit silly. Condemned 2 was a weird example because the game does completely shit over itself to a huge extent. By the end, you're having literal Hadouken battles to defeat these alien monsters. And at one point you find out the President of the United States, upon learning that you can do Hadoukens, faints while giving a public speech. Condemned 2 was a wonderful game for the first half, and then it completely ruined itself for all the wrong reasons. Creating a plot in the first, which was very serious and mysterious. You didn't know just why this madness and high murder rate was happening in the world. But in Condemned 2, oh, they can't wait to explain absolutely everything to you. Have this magician that eternally keeps reviving, and baby dolls that run up to you and explode. With this puzzle, it was a simple thing. You see these 3 lights? Just follow where the sigil is, line it up, and that's it. Don't line up the other sigils. It won't work otherwise. And there's the key. We can go to the planetarium already. We don't have to see tall, dark and annoying though, because there's some vents here. Boxes are the worst enemy of the monster, and we'll be seeing why in a few moments. It's silly. The monster can't jump, and you also can't crouch, so if you hide in an air vent, it's just standing there waiting for you, but you can't do anything at all. With all 3 keys, we can finally proceed to the planetarium. This narrow long hallway heavily implies that there's going to be a chase scene. Eventually we will be having one in an environment just like this, but not yet. Quite a shame really, as, oh, for God's sake, chase scenes are, I think, the best part about horror. When we do get to the chase scenes of this game though, it falls flat. This monster is very slow, he gives up easily, and he's quite buggy. Super easy to fool him just by standing on a wooden box. My flashlight's running very low now, and it just means that in a moment I'm just going to have to stand still in an area where I know it's safe. It's ridiculous why they'd add this. Finite flashlight power is not fun, it's not enjoyable, and it doesn't add, it doesn't improve the experience at all, it just makes it worse. It's very sad that the devs decided to add this limited but infinitely recharging flashlight. The puzzle for this is a Scooby-Doo level. Find a book which doesn't make sense and press it. I wish that the game did have an infinite flashlight, and I would enjoy it more if that was the case. This room is completely pointless, there's nothing in there at all. In which case there's no real point having this room in the game. I'm guessing it's just to build up on the environment more. But the game isn't taking advantage of this. It's not adding anything to these rooms that we're going in. That monster's going to go away in a few moments. So we're just going to have a look in these 4 rooms. Every single one of them, well, pointless. There's nothing going on in any at all. Not even document notes. On the topic of document notes, this is the entirety of the storyline. Just these notes. Other than that, nothing whatsoever. Your character never speaks or says anything. You don't see any other characters with the exception of this one monster. That monster disappeared, and there's no possible way he could have gone up here unless he had super jumping powers, which he doesn't have. This is a Half-Life puzzle, so it's a seesaw. Run and jump all the way there, but when you do, the seesaw goes down. So we're going to have to get some boxes. Half-Life 2 did this really great. In episode 2, you do this with an entire bridge and a load of cars. So now we just got to run. We're going to have a little chase scene now. I want to show you a little bit about how the AI of this monster works. Oh, bloody hell! Oh god, that didn't work. Sometimes he'll get stuck on the wall. Ah! There he is, he's stuck. It's very easy to do things like this to the monster. It just makes it so stupid. He's twitching out like a mofo. The music has stopped. He no longer knows that I am here. So he has an incredibly short memory span. It's also possible to trap him on this little wall here. Sometimes he can fall, other times he can't, and the game's pathing will tell him to stay up on this top level. See if we can attract him. There we are. Ooh! Ooh! Bloody hell, that didn't work. Ooh, shit the bed, now he's got me.